All right, everyone, welcome to the last part of the text, presets, and transitions tutorial. So what I'm going to have you do is go ahead and start another new composition, 1920 by 1080 at 24 frames. I'm going to go ahead and just shut these other compositions down that I have. And let's see, I guess I will name this because I am a responsible digital artist. So I will call this transitions. And go ahead and choose two of your video clips to bring down. I think that, let's see, this is going to give me, I feel like the skull one, yeah, the skull one's really long. So I'm going to bring the creepy clown and my zombie down. They're shorter. And so I'm just going to show you a couple of ways that you could just manually animate some transitions in here. And they're fairly simple, So the first one is just to lower the opacity of the top layer. So if I come down to my timeline a little bit, I can simply go to transform. I can toggle on a keyframe for 100% opacity, go down a little bit and just hit 0 here. And then I've got a nice fade to 0 opacity, and that should allow, you can see the other video layer coming in slowly, so that's easy enough, right? These are transitions that you can apply easy enough in Premiere as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those keyframes, and looks like there's, I was doing opacity on both videos at the same time. That is no good. That is not helpful to me. So what if I come in here and hit 100%? Yeah, it's not helpful to do keyframes on the two video clips. I just turned the opacity down to 0 on both of them, which is why it was difficult. So now I should get my nice transition sort of cross dissolve here. Okay, perfect. So that's easy enough. The other thing I could do is simply key the position of this video. So I'm going to toggle position on here. This is position A. Let's say by the time I get kind of down to here, I want to grab this video clip and just drag it off the screen. Oh yeah, these are also not scaled correctly. So that's another problem. And I want that to be straight. You can see that I have this like snap to sort of situation going on here. And you can turn that on and off by going into View, I believe it is, and Show Guides and Snap to Guides. So if you have those two checked, you will have that showing up for you. So let's look at that transition. We can see the clown footage raising up there. Boy, it really doesn't want to animate that back to me very quickly. So, and that's okay. And that's why we're keeping it simple. All right, so I'm going to just get rid of those keyframes, and then I'm going to come in here and back out, and I'm going to scale these properly, a little bit more properly. You could also, always just zoom in on your footage. Like if you have footage and you only want to see part of it, like if I only wanted to see, let's say I made this, pretty big, I can zoom in and out like that, for example, but that is not what I want to do right now. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. Okay. Another thing I could do is have one piece of footage come in and the other out. Let's say I want to do like a wipe from left to right. So it could be a little bit complicated. Let me see. I'm just need to think. So I want to set these videos side by side like this, but I want them both to move over so that I can have the transition kind of move through like that with them both selected. So I'm going to have this footage sitting here for a period of time, say till we get to the clown coming out, and then with both of them selected, I'm going to hit P for position, toggle that clock on for both clips, bring it down the line a little bit, and bring them on over. And you can see with the guides here that you can make it so that it's coming straight across. Like they could be crooked, but you can kind of see, that they're lining up and meeting with each other. So there's that way to do that. You could do kind of a wipe in such a way. All right, so if you want to get a little bit crazy, you can make some transitions with the masking tool, which is something that will work with a little bit more as the term goes on. Well, actually a lot more. So what I'm going to have you do is make sure your videos are stacked one on top of each other in the canvas window here. And I'm going to have you grab this pen tool and select it. And what I'm going to have you do is I want you to just create a shape out here. So you want to be backed out in your canvas a little bit. I want you to create a shape out here that maybe has like 4 to 6 points. So I'm just going to make kind of a crazy circle. So I'm going to drop here. Actually, I'm going to Command Z that. Have the top video layer selected before you start drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop some anchors and make the shape. I don't want them to be geometric and pointy like this. You can see the video disappeared, by the way. That's okay. What it's done is it's created a mask. So if I go down to my layer here, you can see that I have a mask, and we're going to animate the path to that mask here shortly. But first, I want to make this a little bit more organic. So I'm going to go to the Convert Vertex tool, which is this pointy little, basically looks like a selection tool. I'm going to click on all of these anchors, and I'm going to make it a little bit more rounded and organic feeling, similar to Illustrator tools, right? And then what I'm going to do is animate this mask over time, and so let me see here. So this is the video that's on top. So I think what I need to do is actually invert my mask, because what's happening here is if I come over here, I'm going to grab my selection tool. If I click on one of these, you can see it reveals the other video. But I want it to do the opposite of that. I want it to show the top video on top and then slowly transition off. So what I can do is I can actually invert my mask path so it's doing the opposite. So what After Effects is inclined to do is it will mask whatever layer you're on inside of the shape that you draw. But if I just click inverted here, you can see that the video pops back up. And I can see that my mask path disappeared for a second there, but here I go. I just click on the mask one, mask path, and there it is. So I can do a couple of different things here. So with it selected like so, I can, let's see, I can animate the anchors individually like that, but I should also be able to move this entire shape if I want to. Let me see. It always gets tricky remembering. Let's see if I just move it. So I'm just moving this with my arrow key now. So I can create really custom shape transitions if I want. So I could animate this whole thing like this using my arrow keys. There's a way for me to use my selection tool and move it like that, but I keep toggling on the ability to move these anchors individually, which actually might be more interesting. So anyways, what we're gonna do is, so let's say we wanted to transition about here. I am going to go somewhere maybe a third into the timeline, and I'm going to toggle on the mask path capability here. And so I've got 0.1, and then I'll move my scrubbing tool to where I want the transition to sort of be done. And so what I'm going to do is, oh, now it's all moving together. So when all of these anchors are full and solid, if you click, you can move the whole thing like so. But I want to animate them each individually. So to do that, you can just click inside of the path, and then you should be able to grab these individually. So I'm going to make for a interesting sort of custom transition over time. So let's see, I'm just going to start with this sort of look, and then I can customize it a little further. So let's just see how that looks. It's going to take a minute here for it to catch up. Okay, so I can always go back in here. So if I grab my Add Vertex tool or just the pen tool, you can always come back in here and add anchor points whenever you like. So I added them there, and let's say like here, I want to make this a little bit more interesting. So I can bring that up, and then maybe this comes back in. Let's see what that looks like. So I've got a really weird transition now. And you know, with the mask paths, that just takes a minute to catch up. You can just use regular shapes too, but this is another way that you could create a really interesting transition. All right, so hopefully you have some kind of path animated, a mask path animated to show a transition between two videos. So go ahead and add that to your render queue and render that out. I'll just call this mask, I suppose, and go ahead and render that out and save it. And so then what you're going to do is you're going to compress everything and combine it in Premiere so that you can turn in this exercise and get credit for it. So I'm going to go ahead and let that render out, but all you need to do in Premiere is let me go ahead and start a new bin. So like I said, you can have like a compression project that you kind of have going all term. So you're going to come in here and you're going to import what you've been exporting. Let's see. Oh, okay. So text and transition. So I've got my 3 videos here. I don't think my third one's quite exported yet, but for our purposes here, that's okay. I'm just going to do it with the 2 videos. So if I say comp 1, and then I know my mask isn't done yet, so I'm going to grab transitions. I'm going to import these into After Effects. Premiere. And I'm going to go ahead and drop this. These should be the same size because I've been controlling the size in After Effects, right? My 1020 by 1080. So just bring in your 3 videos. You should have a couple of text animations, a couple of transitions from the presets here that we looked at, and some of the effects, and then that masking transition. So you're just going to go ahead and export these, file export or command. I would do H.264, and honestly, you don't really need anything bigger than 720 to turn this in. So you could do 720 or 1080 HD in either Vimeo or YouTube or some other one of these other settings if you like. It's up to you. And then go ahead and export that. So hopefully you've got some ideas with text and some ideas for transitions. Transitions are really important, but they can be used and abused pretty easily too. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.